The finals, look at that, a new body on the blower drive service Dodge. You remember it was just 2 weeks earlier that Al Hoffman had burned it into a cinder. This time he red lit, smoked the tires, and John Force ran a 5:05 in the championship round at 289 miles an hour to take his second win of the season.
In Top Fuel qualifying, Don the Snake Prudhomme was matched up with Eddie Hill. Snake had a dismal 92, was really hoping for some encouragement in 93, and he got a little right here. He streaked away from Eddie Hill, 301 miles an hour, the third driver in the club.
You know, those 300s are hard to come by. Bernstein was the first one to do it, so it kind of took a little frosting off the cake, but I'm just proud to be in that club and just proud to still be in drag racing. Thank you.
It was also in qualifying that Jimmy Nix and Joe Amato squared off, but the outcome was considerably different than that of the Snake. We rode on board on Joe Amato's Top Fuel dragster, a huge ball of fire, not once, but twice. Amato on fire, Nix out in front of him, blazing away, but both drivers able to bring the cars to a safe stop. Amato lost the tire as both the fire and the parts coming out of the engine exploded the big Goodyear slick. The McDonald's dragster of Ed McCulloch, what kind of weekend did he have? Qualified number 1 with low ET of the meet at a 481.
And in the final round, he was up against Rance McDaniel out of Fresno, California. The privateer in his 50s planning an assault on the 93 season. Rance got close, but not close enough. McCulloch wanted it 490 to Rance's very tough 492. For the Ace and crew, well, it was a time to celebrate. But remember this scene. We weren't to see it again in 93.
That's one for the number 1 spot.
It was from the Bayou City in Houston, Texas. We moved next to the north central Florida city of Gainesville and Gainesville Raceway with the Motorcraft Ford Gator Nationals. A huge crowd was on hand for the weekend, a weekend that saw a tremendous amount of rain. Also, a lot of excitement as well. Watch Jack Ostrander. Unbelievable.
One of the strangest crashes I have ever seen. The motor still pointed down the racetrack. Jack Ostrander looking at the tower.
As you can see, the front of the car broke away from the back. Look how high it got off the ground, completely lifted the rear wheels off the ground. The car broke in the middle. When it came back, it snapped it in two. The car whipped around and Jack Ostrander ended up pointed the other direction.
Jack's okay, apparently. You all right, Jack?
Yeah, I'm all right.
A wild one.
Oh, yeah. Tell me. I was in it.
A remarkable man with astonishing perseverance.
All right, in Top Fuel qualifying, there was performance as well as accidents. How about Corey McClanahan? You saw him set a record at Pomona? Well, he lowered it to a 4.782 at Gainesville.
The performances came at the top end of the racetrack as well. Joe Amato against Scott Coletta in the far lane. Scotty became the 4th member of the Slick 50 300-mile-an-hour club, 300.30.
Also in qualifying, it was Doug Herbert in the near lane alongside the Golden Greek Chris Karamessinis. What did Doug Herbert do? He became only the 2nd driver to run 300 miles an hour twice, joining Kenny Bernstein in that elite group.
Before the semifinal round, Eddie Hill was having problems with his brand new race car. The Nuclear Banana out of Pennzoil, a virtual duplicate of his 1988 car, met up with Tommy Johnson Jr. in the semis.
Johnson welded him on the starting line, but the Nuclear Banana had a reactor for a motor. SVP of the day at 482.
482, excellent. This feels like Gainesville, doesn't it?
1 year ago, to be exact.
Eddie Hill was indeed the defending champion at Gainesville, where he logged 4 consecutive 480s back in 1992. Here in the championship round up against Ed McCulloch, winner at Phoenix.
Eddie Hill usually wins races with power. He won this one on a hole shot. 487 beat McCullough's 86.
Oh, man, that felt so good. I wish you'd have been in there with me. It was pretty dark down there, but that car felt like it was hauling its buns, and what a debut for a new car.
Ed McCulloch was the points leader after Gainesville, followed by Hill, Amato, Herbert, and Bernstein.
In round number 2, the rivalry resumed. Force versus Pendragon. Force beat him with a 509 to a 527. And how about Freddie Neely at Gainesville, Dave McClellan?
Steve, Freddie, and John Force squared off in the semifinals for the quickest side-by-side funny car race in history. Force got the advantage off the starting line, parlayed it into the win. 509's a pair.
That shows the name of the game here. It takes a lot of luck, but Neely's doing a great job, and Ronnie Swearinger, he's a great guy, and we're just happy that we can come in here for our people at Castro, Dorman, and all of them, and give them a show.
Well, Neely didn't come away empty-handed. He set the national speed record at 295 on that blast.
In the finals, it was Force against Hoffman. Hoffman held low elapsed time of the meet at 5.08 seconds. But here, didn't matter. He went up in the air and forced to the finish line.
3 out of 4, it's a great feeling. We're just inching that way out there in that lead, and we're going to keep winning. We're going to keep blowing up the stuff. We're going to keep spending that money. And I love driving these things because they're exciting at night.
3 out of 4 doesn't sound like he's inching up on his Winston Championship hopes. Force the leader, followed by Hoffman, Pedregon, Worsham, and Jim Epler after 4 races of the season.
In Pro Stock, Larry Morgan made his 3rd consecutive final. His opponent was Warren Johnson. Morgan had problems. Johnson won it at a 7:14, his 2nd victory of 93.
This is one of the roughest races I've had in a long time. We came into this race looking real good, hurt a motor, ended up going with our number 3 piece in there, and really operated with a handicap all day long.
Well, the number 3 piece padded his points. Larry Morgan 2nd, followed by Powick, Johnson, and the Dodge of Scott Jeffreyon.
From Gainesville, Florida to Rockingham, North Carolina, not a far trip, but one that is light years away from the pressures, the stresses of the Winston Championship season. This is the fabled Winston Invitational, and in round number 1 of Pro Stock, Larry Morgan and Vince Curry were doing battle, and Larry Morgan had his problems in the shutdown area. The brakes locked up, the Castrol Super Clean Oldsmobile nosed it into the guardrail. Morgan was able to keep the car upright. The damage, while it appeared to be severe, was repairable, and Morgan returned to competition.
There's no championship points at the Winston Invitational, just a lot of good times, as Dave said, and a whole lot of Winston cash. In the Pro Stock final round, Bob Glidden, the Ford against Warren Johnson. It was Warren Johnson at 7:12, 195 miles an hour.
The last time we saw Whit Bazemore in the fast orange Dodge Daytona, he was on fire. The folks at Rockingham got the same treatment as well. He was up against Chuck Etchells in funny car qualifying, the car losing a rod, oil under the tires. He had handling problems, and then the fire broke out. He brought the car again to a safe stop. You'll see the emergency hatch opened, and out climbed Whit Bazemore. After he had the opportunity to kind of gather himself up, he took a look at the damaged car and was not a happy driver.
In round number 1 of Funny Car, we saw Wyatt Radke and the rapidly improving Johnny Westcar from Upland, California, up against John Force. And without any championship points, I wonder if Force wasn't a little off his game because he didn't have that carrot hanging out in front of him. Just watch what happens. The car on the right side of your screen or in the far lane at this shot. He handles Force. Wyatt Radke, how about it? Force smokes the tires. Radke wins at 5:33 to a losing 5:48. Radke needed the money worse than Force.
And Steve, not only the money, but that was a career experience beating up on John Force in round number 1. Al Hoffman in his blower drive service Dodge had a career weekend as well. It was Hoffman against Gary Bolger in the first round. Guess who won it? It was Al Hoffman. That victory advanced him into the 2nd round, and in a field of 8, that's the semifinals. His competition, Cruz Pedregon at the wheel of the McDonald's Oldsmobile. Pedregon lost traction, Hoffman with the win.
Your 3rd 526 in a row, Al.
Well, we figured 3 of them would win this deal out here, so we didn't think it'd be that consistent. Good deal, because it was moving around, and I'm happy.
In the finals, it was Al Hoffman against the Hawaiian Vacation Dodge Daytona, owned by Roland Leong, driven by Gordy Bonnin, and since this team got together, their first appearance in the finals here at the Winston Invitational.
All right, I'm going to take back the Hawaiian Vacation mention that Mac made because they stiffed Roland on the sponsorship, and they don't deserve to be mentioned.
I agree wholeheartedly. Let's talk a whole lot about Gordy Bonnin's great driving that went up in smoke. And of course, another incredible performance, this time a 5:18 out of Hoffman at 288 miles an hour, winning the Winston Invitational. His wife Helen and Al celebrated down at the far end of the racetrack.
As he backed up in qualifying against Scott Coletta, Corey McClanathan was a happy guy. He had set the national record twice.